Celebrity emails. Check it out. Look at this one. Arnold Schwarzenegger. All caps. You can almost hear him. Chris, are you going to be there on Saturday or what? Come on, it's going to be fantastic. Everyone's going to be there. You got to come there and sing the potato song. Jimmy Fallon, he will be there. You got to make it on Saturday. P.S. Maria's not coming. You're not able to see it, but that's Christopher Walken up there. He replies in a different way. Notice not all caps, but a couple of interjections of pauses in there. You can hear him as well. Whoa, Arnold, stop yelling. Yeah, I'll be there this weekend. And I hope you have good burgers. Because there's one thing you gotta have. It's a good burger. P.S. If you had to choose between having a tail and the gift of flight, which would you pick? I go with the tail. Friends, guests, Toastmasters, Mr. President. I'm here to talk to you about a topic that's very dear to me, and it's the idea of the voice that we take in with our eyes, not the one that we necessarily take in with our ears. It's the written voice, the voice that authors use to display their ideas. And I like to write. I admire good writers, and voice is as important to me in prose as it is when I'm talking to someone. Just like you see the poem here, Carlos Williams, almost everything depends upon voice in writing. Just like everything depends, or so much depends upon that red wheelbarrow. I'd like to talk to you about a way that we can define voice as just average people who are thinking about writing or just communicating with each other. The term voice has a lot of definitions, but we need one that we can just grab a hold of and give you some good examples on daily communications that apply in a setting where we're going to communicate, and tips that I'm trying to use myself to improve my own written voice. So what is this idea of voice? Well, there's many definitions, and librarians go back and forth on the technical aspects of voice, but for us, it's just the style. It's what makes up that writer's way of writing. You see on the screen examples of diction, language, how the characters are developed. Those are all very important, and they give that type of life to the writing. If you're a computer guy, think of it as the operating system upon which everything is constructed. If you're a musician, you can think about voices as different instruments. For example, an electric guitar, it has a real twangy sound when in the hands of like an Eddie Van Halen, or a tuba in a marching band. Each one of those have their distinct sound. So do authors have their own distinct voice. Like Emily Dickinson. Think about that soft, quiet, brooding voice. The deer that's wounded leaps the highest. Or maybe the dark voice of an Ed Poe who says everything that seems, that we feel, is a dream within a dream. So when you hear those two authors, you almost immediately know that it's written by them. In the same way, voice is a way that, or the same way music is identified in different instruments, voice is a way that authors identify themselves. And to give you a good example, check it out. I like Steve Martin, one of my favorite guys and favorite comedians, and this is an example from Twitter. He tweets, "I'm as happy as a clam." Wait, are clams really happy? And I'll let you read the response. And that's great. The chilling sound of clam laughter has caused many fishermen to quit the sea. That has great comedic voice, and what's so nice about it is it almost takes the same voice of Steve Martin and hands it back to him. It's really funny and a great example of comedic voice. On a more serious note, one of my favorite poets is Charles Bukowski. This poem entitled "The Genius." I'll read along with you as you read it. "I met a genius on the train today, about 6 years old. He sat beside me as the train ran down along the coast. We came to the ocean, and then he looked at me and said, 'It's not pretty.' It was the first time I'd realized that." Pretty heavy, You almost get his voice, that dry voice. And when you read Bukowski, you know it's Bukowski. And that's one of the characteristics of author's voice. It's kind of like, things aren't as good as they seem to be, even though I'm really smart. What can we do? Well, good writer's voice is simply finding your own voice, and that's something that I'm working on. Telling who we are is oftentimes expressing our emotions. We can't be afraid to express our emotions, especially when we're communicating with another person. And as long as we're being true to them, our emotions, and communicating to that other person, we have authenticity. When you read someone's work and you know it's them, that's a good example of good voice. And it's appropriate. What I mean by appropriate is not so much minding manners, but you think about the topic, you think about who's going to listen to it. And when you're writing, that's very important. If you empathize with that other person, you're true to yourself, and you express a little bit of emotions, you're bound to hit the mark. Voice is very important in writing. It's something that I really enjoy. I wanted to explore and share with you. Examples abound not only in literature, but also on Twitter. Tips to improve that I'm looking at are trying to interject a little bit more emotion. Things like trusting my own voice and actually finding my own voice. With that, I'll leave you with the meaning of life. Picture Christopher Walken assembling Optimus Prime. Mr. Toastmaster.